In this video, we are going to watch an amazing magic act performed by the famous magician Denny Corby. Also, we will uncover the secret behind this magic trick. If you enjoy the video, make sure to like it and show your support. Firstly, let's see what the magician does in this magic act. In this act, magician Denny first invites the legendary comedian George Wallace onto the stage. He tells George that he has opened a new restaurant and George doesn't need to worry about money while ordering. The magician then places some money in George's pocket. Afterward, the magician provides George with a menu and asks him to order various items one by one. The magician also calls the show's host, Allison, onto the stage and asks her to write down the items George ordered on a whiteboard. The magician then has George select items from different categories, such as appetizers, soup, meat, dessert, and wine. Allison writes down the selected items on the board, and the total price comes out to be $83. The audience is astonished at what happens next. The magician takes out his wallet from his pocket and hands George a bill that was already in the wallet. Remarkably, the total on that bill is also $83, and it includes the exact items that George randomly selected. However, the magic doesn't end there. The magician proceeds to ask George to count the money that the magician had placed in his pocket at the beginning of the act. Astonishingly, the total comes out to be exactly $83 as well. But how? How did the magician know beforehand that the total price of the items would be $83? And how did the magician place exactly $83 in George's pocket before the act even started? The entire act was incredibly mind-boggling. But now let's dive into the secret behind this magic trick. Before we get into the secret, if you like Denny Corby's amazing act, make sure to like the video to show your appreciation. Now, let's uncover the secret behind this magic trick. In this act, the magician manages to surprise the audience twice. First, when he produces the exact bill from his wallet, and second, when money in George's pocket turns out to be exactly $83. Let's start by understanding how the magician produces the exact bill from his wallet, matching George's selected items. The magician employs modern technology for this part of the trick. A mini Bluetooth bill printer is concealed within the magician's wallet. When the magician's assistant hears the item selected by George, he used Bluetooth to print the bill from the mini printer in the magician's wallet. This way, the magician can present the bill to the audience, leaving everyone amazed. But what happens next is going to be even more astonishing, and understanding the secret behind it requires careful attention. For the second part, where money in George's pocket turns out to be exactly $83, the magician guides George's choices strategically, leading to a predetermined total of $83. The magician manipulates the categories in such a way that, regardless of the items George selects, they are categorized in a manner that always results in this total. If we observe here, when the magician instructs George to select items, the magician specifies the category for George to choose from.
And that's where we're going to start. Get a nice appetizer for the table. And then from there, I want you to do a nice soup for the table. I want you to get a nice grilled meat for the table. Entree, I want you to do a nice cake or pastry to kind of get a nice dessert there. And then I want you to do a nice brandy or dessert wine as a nice little nightcap for your time out.
Okay, let's do it.
For instance, first, he asks George to choose something from the appetizers, then soup, followed by meat, dessert, and finally something from the wine category. However, if we look at the menu, after appetizers, there's salad, then bread, followed by soup, and so on. Even in the next page, there are desserts, cake, wine, and aperitifs. But the magician sequentially names categories, from which George picks one out of 4 or 5 different items. So why does the magician do this? In essence, the whole trick is rooted in mathematics. Let's examine the appetizers category. There are a total of 6 items, and if we look at their prices, 4 of them have similar prices. This means that no matter which item George selects, its price will match one of these 4 prices. Let's say George selects chicken, which costs $14. Based on George's first choice, the magician already knows which category he will guide George towards next. Let's say these categories are salad, pasta, soup, and bread. Under each of these categories, the items have specific prices. For instance, if George selected a $14 appetizer, the magician guides him to choose soup next. Similarly, if George had chosen a $20 appetizer, the magician would guide him to the bread category. Or if George had selected an $8.5 appetizer, he would be guided to choose from the pasta. This process continues for the last option as well, with the magician having a distinct category in mind. Now, let's understand what this accomplishes. By doing this, after selecting an item from both categories, a final total is derived from 3 possible outcomes. No matter what George selects, the magician pairs categories with a predetermined total price among these 3 outcomes. Once the magician knows which of the 3 outcomes has occurred, he guides George to choose from the next category based on this outcome. For example, if after the first 2 choices, the outcome is 24.5, the magician guides George to select from the meats category. However, if after the first 2 choices, the total is 28.5, the magician guides George to select from the main course. Similarly, if the total is 30.5, the magician guides George to choose from the specials. Just like before, this narrows down the final total to one of 2 numbers. Now, after selecting the 3rd item, the total will lead the magician to guide George to choose from 2 subsequent categories. Choosing any item from these categories results in 2 possible totals, $71 or $75. After this, there are wine and aperitifs categories. Although the items in these categories are different, their prices are the same. For instance, if after selecting 4 items, the total is $71, the magician guides George to choose from the wines, adding a $12 item to reach the final result of $83. Similarly, if after 4 choices, the total is $75, the magician guides George to select from the aperitifs, adding an $8 item to, again, reach the total of $83. So, the magician knew in advance that no matter how the selections unfolded, the final result would always be $83. This is why the magician initially placed $83 in George's pocket before the act began. This is how the magician baffles everyone with this incredible magic trick. And now, you also know the secret behind this magic. We work hard to bring you videos like these, so please support us by liking the video. If you're new to this channel, consider subscribing and pressing the notification bell to stay updated with similar intriguing videos.